For far too long, Washington's been doing what's best for Washington, not what's best for the American people. And tonight, that begins to change.
All right, so the midterm elections, pretty rough for congressional Democrats, and it could make for choppy waters for the nation's organized labor movement. Richard Trumka is the president of the AFL-CIO. He joins us from Washington. Obviously, sir, the election did not come out the way you wanted it to, and you sent a letter to your members ahead of the midterm elections, and you said their agenda is cheaper labor, less retirement security, weaker unions. You're referring to the Republicans, I'd assume.
Correct.
And your take?
On what?
On what we saw, on the result from the polls. Was this a referendum on the Obama administration? Was this people going to the polls and saying the Republicans have a better jobs plan? What was it?
Absolutely not. Yesterday's election was about the economy and about jobs. People are upset and concerned. This is a third election cycle in a row where they've kicked out the party in power because they weren't getting the job done. They weren't getting the jobs that they needed. In fact, they rejected both the Democrats and Republicans yesterday. Most voters said that neither one had a plan to create jobs.
Do you agree?
Well, I think it's been sketchy. I think the Democrats have tried to put forward job programs, and the Republicans, particularly the Senate, have blocked them without exception. That was part of their strategy to get nothing done so that people were frustrated, angry, and did exactly what they did, voted against incumbents in mass numbers.
You say also in this note that you sent out right ahead of the elections to your members, greed knows no limits. You went on to say, if you think things are bad now, look at what they plan to do if they take control of Congress. So, sir, what do you think they, meaning the Republicans, plan to do now that they at least hold the majority in the House?
Well, here's what they said they were going to do beforehand. They said they were going to repeal health care. They were going to repeal Wall Street reform. There was going to be no more jobs bills, no more infrastructure bills, no more extension of unemployment benefits, no more help to state and local governments. If they do that, they'll be 2-year wonders because the economy won't grow, they won't create jobs, and they'll get booted out in 2 years.
And some Republicans would say back to you, look, it's not that we don't want to fix the problems, it's not that we don't want job creation, it's that we don't want to dig our nation further into debt. That would be their response, is that the spending has been irresponsible. So looking at both sides, do you think there will be any more stimulus or any jobs bill passed in the next 2 years?
Well, look, there better be. Because what that election was about yesterday, if it was about anything, was people, Democrats, Republicans, and independents saying, we need jobs, 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 and more jobs. We're frustrated that that's not getting done quick enough, that you've coddled Wall Street too much, and you've helped Main Street too little. So if they go right back to the same old agenda of tax cuts for the rich, deregulation of Wall Street, all the policies that got us here, they'll be in a pickle in 2 years.
Do unions need to continue to make concessions or possibly make more concessions so that you can bring the two issues to the table, the pay issue versus outsourcing jobs, but yet the job creation issue in this country?
Look, this country has an aggregate demand problem. You don't have enough people buying things. That way to solve that isn't to cut people's wages. That's what got us here in the first place. For the last 30 years, wages have been stagnant. 72% of our economy is driven by consumer spending. And if consumers don't have money, they can't spend, the economy can't grow. If they continue pushing to try to cut wages, our economy will never create the jobs that we need to put America back to work.
What is your advice to this bipartisan Congress now in terms of the Senate controlled by Democrats, the House by Republicans, and, of course, the Democratic administration? What is your single piece of advice when it comes to what's most beneficial for union members in this country?
Not just union members, for everybody in this country. It's 3 simple words: jobs, jobs, and jobs.
But how do you get there, sir?
Infrastructure. We can do a 10-year look. The Society of Engineers say that we have a $2.2 trillion infrastructure deficit in this country. It makes us less competitive of a nation. We can make a 10-year commitment to infrastructure. We can make ourselves more competitive. We can crowd in private money, and we can create jobs. The Surface Transportation Reauthorization, that helps us get more competitive. It creates jobs. The Clean Water Act and the Clean Energy Act, that can help us become energy independent while we're creating jobs and cleaning up the environment. All of those are winners.